Shadi Yamunati Ravana Shadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So I just want to confirm, I had a glitch on my camera. I just want to confirm that at least you can hear me.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, we can
Yes.
hear you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so
but
much.
Your internet is kind of spotty, so we are not able to hear you continuously for a long period.
Is it better if I do this? I was on Wi-Fi. Can you see me? I can shut my video off if that gives me better bandwidth. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are going to celebrate and glorify Lord Balaram, but Muktavanya had spoken earlier some time ago about the importance of, even on appearance days and on days that are a little different, that we can celebrate, that we can read from the Gita first. So I wanted to do that. And the verse today we'll be hearing from is from chapter 4, called Transcendental Knowledge. And the text is text number 8. Paritranaya sadunam vinashaya chaduskritam damasam starpanartaya sambhuvami juge juge. I'm going to read the translation in the word for word. Paritranaya, for the deliverance. Sadunam, of the devotees. Vinashaya, for the annihilation. Cha, and. Duskritam, of the miscreants. Dharma, principles of religion. Samstarpanartaya, to reestablish. Sambhuvami, I do appear. Yuge, millennium, yuge, after millennium. In the translation, to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. According to the Bhagavad Gita, a sadhu, holy man, is a man in Krishna consciousness. A person may appear to be irreligious, but if he has the qualifications of a Krishna consciousness, wholly and fully, he is to be understood to be a sadhu. And duskritam applies to those who do not care for Krishna consciousness. Such miscreants, or duskritam, are described as foolish. and the lowest of mankind, even though they may be decorated with mundane education, whereas a person who has 100% engaged in Krishna consciousness is accepted as a sadhu, even though such a person may be neither learned nor well cultured. As far as the atheistic are concerned, it is not necessary for the Supreme Lord to appear as he is to destroy them, as he did with the demons Ravana and Kamsa. The Lord has many agents who are quite competent to vanquish demons, but the Lord especially descends to appease his unalloyed devotees, who are always harassed by the demoniac. The demon harasses the devotee, even though the latter happened to be his kin. Although Prahlad Maharaj was the son of Hiranyakashipu, he was nonetheless persecuted by his father. Although Devaki, the mother of Krishna, was the sister of Kamsa, she and her husband Vasudev were persecuted only because of Krishna, was to be born of them. So Lord Krishna appeared primarily to deliver Devaki rather than to kill Kamsa, but both were performed simultaneously. Therefore, it is said here that to deliver the devotee and to vanquish the demon miscreants, the Lord appears in different incarnations. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita of Krishnadas Kaviraj, the following verses summarize these principal incarnations, and I'll read the English. The avatar or incarnation of Godhead descends from the kingdom of God for material manifestation, and the particular form of the personality of Godhead, who so descends, is called an incarnation or avatar. Such incarnations are situated in the spiritual world, the kingdom of God. When they descend to the material creation, they assume the name avatar. There are various kinds of avatars, such as Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, Lila avatars, Shakti-Avesh avatars, Manvantara avatars, and Yuga avatars, all appearing on schedule all over the universe. But Lord Krishna is the primeval Lord, the fountainhead of all avatars. Lord Krishna descends for the specific purpose to mitigating the anxieties of the pure devotees, who are very anxious to see him in his original Vrindavan pastimes. Therefore, the prime purpose of the Krishna avatar is to satisfy his unalloyed devotees. The Lord says that he incarnates himself in every millennium. This indicates that he incarnates also in the age of Kali. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the incarnation of the age of Kali is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who spread the worship of Krishna by the Sankirtan movement, congregational chanting of the holy names, and spread Krishna consciousness throughout India. He predicted that this culture of Sankirtan would be broadcast all over the world, from town to town and village to village. Lord Chaitanya, as the incarnation of Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is described secretly, but not directly, in the confidential parts of the revealed scriptures, such as the Upanishads, the Mahabharata, and the Bhagavatam. The devotees of Lord Krishna are very much attracted by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. This avatar of the Lord does not kill the miscreants, but delivers them by his causeless mercy. The verse again. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya charuskritam dharma samstarpanartaya sambhuvami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamaya Dharati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So again, wanted to welcome all the devotees for coming together today in honor of Lord Balaram and in honor of each other's association and the wonderful things that can come about when devotees come together and glorify Lord Balaram. And I glorify Lord Balaram, who is decorated with glittering gold crown, bracelets, tinkling ornaments, moving locks of hair on his cheeks, splendid earrings on his handsome lotus face, and garments dark like monsoon clouds, holding a great club and a plow, fulfilling all desires, and handsome like a mountain of ice and snow. And that's a meditation that we can take from the 1,000 names of Lord Balaram, in the invocation of those names, glorifying the Lord and his amazing appearance as Lord Balaram, this astounding incarnation of Godhead, which appeared as Krishna's brother and who is intimately tied to Krishna's Leela, to Krishna's incarnations, to Krishna's energies, and to devotional service. And that personality appeared alongside Krishna, who is describing here in the Bhagavad Gita his incarnation program. In the beginning of that chapter, in chapter 4, Krishna actually explains the history of the Gita, and that the history of the Bhagavad Gita was instructed more than a long time ago. This knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is knowledge that's passed down through all the cycles of humanity, through the lineage of the kings, coming directly from Krishna himself, pervading society. And that lineage and that transmission of that knowledge was broken, that disciplic succession. By the course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. That this ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is now told by me to you, because you are my devotee and you are my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of the science. And that's how Krishna introduces this chapter, that this is something that happens, that Krishna appearing in the world is something that happens constantly throughout history, and that this attempt to establish the Bhagavad Gita reestablishes that in the world again. And it's interesting that he does so in such a sneaky way, because Bhagavad Gita has appeared at the end of the last age. It's not necessarily the ancient knowledge of the scrolls that were found under a rock that the Bhagavad Gita is representing. Bhagavad Gita is representing something that was delivered only 5,000 years ago. The 5,000 year lineage starts when Krishna reestablishes the Gita on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and leaves this knowledge in the presence of society for the benefit of society, not to be lost forever, but to be infiltrated into this Kali Yuga. And this conspiracy, we live in a world where we hear the words, conspiracy theory. And this conspiracy that Krishna has undertaken, that will be described and is described in chapter 1 of Krishna book, is counter to another conspiracy. And that other conspiracy is that Kali Yuga is meant for sinful activity. The whole entire energy is pumping not toward spiritual realization per se, but actually toward the material world. The whole material world is the energy is impacted in a way that negative influences can flourish during this time. And this is described in the Bhagavatam when the demon Kali met Maharaj Parikshit, and it's described that Kali Yuga is the time for the manifestation of these powers. That the other ages, there are hints and powerful pulls toward spiritual realization, and the Kali Yuga is given to the negative forces. And as this age was about to begin, all of these forces gathered. And it's important in a sense when we look at the Vedas and the history of things and how it compares to modern history, that Prabhupada gave us, not modern history, but ancient history, how it compares to ancient civilizations and the stories that get passed down. And sometimes, devotees and others wonder how the Vedas are connected to other civilizations that are also 5,000 years old. I mean, the answer is that they're contemporary, that somehow in that there is a connection to Vedic culture within there. Prabhupada gives us a hint of that in the first paragraph of Krishna book. In chapter 1, the advent of Lord Krishna, he says that once the world was overburdened, 5,000 years ago, once the world was overburdened by an unnecessary defense force of different kings who were actually demons, but who were posing themselves as the royal order. At the time, the whole world became perturbed, and the predominating deity of this earth, known as Bhumi, went to see Lord Brahma to tell her about the calamities that were happening on the earth with these demonic kings. So Bhumi, she went there in the shape of a cow, and she explained to them. Explained to Lord Vishnu the plight with tears in her eyes. She's overburdened. And interesting, Prabhupada says the militaristic force. And that these kings were taking it right, getting it ready for Kali Yuga. And then Krishna had another plan, because after the prayers, Lord Vishnu, he says, so I'm just pulling it up. The message was this. So this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead creating this plan with the demigods. The Supreme Personality of Godhead would appear on the earth very soon, along with his supreme powerful potencies. And as long as he remained on the planet to execute his mission of annihilating the demons and establishing the devotees, the demigods should also remain there to assist him. They should all immediately take birth in the family of the Yadu dynasty, wherein the Lord will also appear in the due course of time. The Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna, would personally appear as a son of Vasudeva. Before his appearance, all the demigods, along with their wives, should appear in different pious families in the world just to assist the Lord in executing his mission. The exact word here is tat prayartham, which means the demigod should appear on the earth in order to please the Lord. In other words, any living entity who lives only for the satisfaction of the Lord is a demigod. And after instructing and pacifying the demigods, as well as Bhumi, with sweet words, Lord Brahma, the father of all the Prajapatis, or the progenitors of the universal population, departed for his own abode, the highest material planet called. And then the program began. Then Krishna and Balaram would appear in the womb of Devaki, and Balaram would be transferred to the womb of Rohini. And all of these other demigods would be born in the world to satisfy the Lord, to assist the Lord in his pastimes. But also interesting that it's in the dynasty of the Yadus. And the Yadu dynasty, Krishna appeared. And the Yadu dynasty comes from King Yadu. But King Yadu appears in a dynasty that has a very mixed legacy, in that there are very glorious devotees who saved this dynasty. But within this dynasty are also other forces. And some of these forces are some of the forces that were appearing in this world. So this appearance of Balaram and the demigods is to purify the atmosphere, but it's to infiltrate that pastime, but not in any kind of force, but simply on the basis of pastimes. And that's Krishna's mission, as is explained here in the purport, is that Krishna appears only to have lila. Krishna appears only to satisfy the devotees. And so all other things happen just by that. So just that force of the demigods participating in Krishna's lila on the earth, specifically in the Yadu dynasty, and specifically in the dynasty of these kings all throughout the world, who eventually some of these kings are kings, not they themselves, but some of these dynasties are represented in this battlefield of Kurukshetra. So these kings all over the world and these demigods are being born in these lineages, and that itself is also purifying the atmosphere, so that Krishna, when Krishna appears, the atmosphere is purified. So where does Balaram fit in? Because Balaram is non-different than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna and Balaram appearing is like a double whammy packed punch. But at the same time, the double whammy packed punch is one punch, because Krishna, it's described, Krishna and Balaram are non-different. They're inconceivably the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rame Krishna Chayo Jivo Vibhu Martaha Kroti Cha Vasopi Narai Tasya Vadatiti Mahashaya. The Jiva who makes a distinction between the souls of Balaram and Krishna verily lives in hell. And this is spoken by great sages. So Balaram is also part of this tour de force of Krishna, bringing this non-different energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead into these pastimes. And so this is where it gets interesting, because we sometimes, discuss with people, when things are written about in scripture, is it metaphorical or is it real? And how does it go together? And in this way, actually, Leelas have a dual and triple and endless component to them, and that there are many layers to be learned from those Leelas. But the Leelas themselves are Leelas. They are pastimes. They are real exchanges between, like Krishna says here, between the devotees. And those exchanges take place in the milieu of rasa, the way that Krishna and each devotee experiences the exchange of love between each other, sometimes as a parent, sometimes as a parent taking care of a child, sometimes like the gopis expressing this deep love for Krishna. Krishna is my beloved. Hey Bhagawan, there's a way of approaching Krishna as the most powerful, the all-powerful Godhead. And then there's another way, and this is Sakya Ras, and it's a way of approaching Krishna and exchanging with Krishna as these devotees do in these pastimes in Sakya Ras, which is in this Ras of friendship. So Balaram appears in this Ras of Sakya Ras, but Balaram is not bound by that Ras, in as much as that Ras accommodates his particular mood in serving Krishna. So Balaram exists in what's called a mixed Ras that Rupa Goswami explains in the Nectar of Devotion. And that, for example, fraternal feelings of Balarama mixed with servitude and parental affection. So that Balaram's actual Ras is this mix of parental affection, friendship, and servitor mood, which I've heard it described. That's not tinged with, like a glimmer of reverence. That there's this ability to compete and to joke and to exchange with Krishna in a way that is counterintuitive and divinely purposeful, in that no one is better than Krishna. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And so by definition, the Maya energy is an energy that allows us to believe that in spite of our limitations, that we are somehow better than Krishna, that, that by, having some particular skill or some particular quality that I possess, that makes me better than Krishna. But actually, by definition, no one is better than Krishna. So this particular relationship with Krishna is so pure and divine that even though that there's no one better than Krishna, there is an element of joking and competition that Krishna is also enjoying. And in that sense, that rasa is full of trust. And it's responsive. And so Balaram has this particular energy. But when we talk about the more ontological side of Balaram, that we know that Balaram is an eternal part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a total, that Balaram doesn't just assume this beautiful white moonlight face like a mountain, a snow-covered mountain, and that is his eternal form, but that Balaram also sustains this entire universe by being the Sheshnag, holding the entire universal structure in place. That Balaram is the super soul. Balaram is the antaryami, the super soul within. He's like the interface or the interpreter of all of the experiences that we have in the material world. So the voice in this lesson and this companion that is with us is actually also part of Balaram. And that part of Balaram, as Balaram's particular mood with Krishna is tinged with friendship, parental, and servitude, this particular mood that's held within the heart and is holding the universe is a friendly, loving, and caring parental mood. And it wants to be helpful. It wants to be engaged in seeing others engaged in Krishna's service. That's the ontological perspective of Balaram, but that perspective is connected to who Balaram is as a person. Like when you have electricity and the electrical charge is sort of like just a large amount out of a generator, say, you need a transformer, type of electrical transformer that can take the wild and uncharged energy of devotional service and channel it into actual practical and usable forms that can become completely enlightening and create so much more potential. But if we just to try to plug into the larger source of energy, it would be totally overwhelming and not actually any use whatsoever. So Balaram, in this form of super soul, in this energy which is in this world and wants to be engaged in helping others be engaged, is transforming this energy of bhakti. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, O Lord, O energy of the Lord. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Please engage me in your service. That the energy is there. It's part of everything. It's part of who we are. That love and that connection with Krishna. But that love and that connection with Krishna is felt through service. And that connection with Krishna through service is facilitated and connected directly by Balaram. And therefore, Balaram is known as the guru. And the guru and the teacher who gives that knowledge and gives instruction on how to engage one actually in Krishna's service according to propensity. And that is an important part of being in the world, is using the world in Krishna's service. Again, it's not actually about Krishna necessarily coming to the world in his avatar form and, performing heroic feats and thunder and lightning, and in one instant all the demons are gone from the earth. But it's simply by Krishna engaging in Leela and Krishna engaging with his devotees. And that is what sets the stage for all other wonderful things to happen on the world and all auspiciousness to come into the world. And so that engagement, that utilizing principle, is one of the most important parts of devotional service, is the actual devotional service end of it, is how can we utilize ourselves and our talents and our lives. And the perspective for a devotee is that, can something be used in Krishna? Is it favorably used for Krishna consciousness, or is it unfavorable for Krishna consciousness? And a devotee rejects the things that are unfavorable, but they cling to those things which are favorable. And those things which are favorable are oftentimes found in how we utilize our own talents in Krishna service. And that is also intrinsically connected to Balaram, because Balaram is the engagement in devotional service. Radharani is the devotional energy. Krishna is enjoying this devotional energy. But to be engaged in that devotional service, we need to have the mercy of Balaram. And so on this day, we pray to Balaram because Balaram is highly qualified. When Balaram and Krishna were reunited into their royal family, which they were hidden away from, again, part of the conspiracy that Krishna remained hidden. Krishna is having pastimes in Vrindavan, and meanwhile, Kamsa is going completely crazy trying to find Krishna. But in the meantime, what is Kamsa doing? Kamsa is meditating on Krishna like anything, not in a favorable way, but he achieved salvation. And Kamsa is engaging all of his best friends in finding Krishna. So Kamsa has an incredible social network of all the best talented magicians and assassins and all of these terrible personalities who will do terrible deeds simply when being asked to do them without a thought. And so Kamsa is engaging his social network in finding Krishna, in destroying Krishna, and where is Krishna? And they're achieving liberation, and they're achieving, Krishna's association through the different leelas and the different pastimes, also in Krishna book. So this particular engagement is a very important setup for the Bhagavad Gita, because even it explains that when Krishna and Balaram were reunited with the royal family, they went to school. They went to the ashram of Sandipani Muni, and they learned 64 arts in 64 days, highly qualified. They learned how to sing songs and how to recognize different tunes and how to learn favorable, unfavorable accents. They learned about art. They learned about wringing water pots. They learned about decorating with flowers. They learned about magical feats. They learned about dressing up in such a way that they could completely hide from someone else. They learned cooking. They learned musical instruments, like we said, and so, how to find minerals in the soil, how to arrange a crown, how to, these different arts within human society, these 64 kalas, Krishna and Balaram learned in 64 days. Of course, they didn't need to learn anything from anyone, but from this Leela, they learned with Sandipani Muni. And Sandipani Muni then was able to get the benediction of getting his son back, just from that. So Krishna and Balaram are highly qualified. And then even Balaram was Duryodhana and Bhima's mace teacher. So whereas Duryodhana rejected Krishna outright, he accepted Balaram as his teacher. And also in the Balaram Sahasranam, it's actually Duryodhana who prompts the chanting of this. For Duryodhana, O great sage, Padavipaka, please tell me the 1,000 names of Lord Balaram, names kept secret, even from the demigods. And he was praised. Well done, well done, well done, O king. You're famous, spotless. Your question has been answered. And so actually, even though Duryodhana couldn't accept Krishna outright, he could accept Balaram as his teacher. And this, in effect, in some sense, plays into Balaram's non-participation in the war of Kurukshetra. And so sometimes devotees ask, like, what did Balaram do during Kurukshetra? And Balaram didn't fight. Duryodhana asked Balaram, requested him, please don't take the side of Krishna's arm. Please don't take Krishna's side. But at the same time, Balaram would never, oppose Krishna. Although, I think Balaram told Mother Yashoda, Krishna had dirt in his mouth, and that then Mother Yashoda looked in Krishna's mouth. So like that, it was for a Leela, and also it was for Mother Yashoda to have that experience, that she became motherly about Krishna with the dirt in the mouth and increased her motherly affection. So, but Balaram wouldn't oppose Krishna. And so Balaram went on pilgrimage. Because if Krishna is appearing Purtranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chaduskritam, then Balaram is appearing Purtranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chaduskritam. And so what did Balaram do to associate with devotees? 1,000 Names of Balaram describes that he's bathed in the Gadaki River. He visited Vipasa River, bathed in the Sona River, visited Prayag, the king of the holy places. He's called the king of the holy places. He's also visited the Sarayu River, the Setabandhu. He touched his head to the holy city of Gaya. He gave his wealth in charity. He visited the same sage Palastya. He visited the ashram of the sage Pula, the Pula ashram, the sage of Pulaha. He visited Ganga Sagara. He's the master of the 7 Godavris. Like that. He's described actually in the same text as being these rivers. And so Balaram, he went on pilgrimage. He remained neutral, but by doing so, he was able to hang out with the sadhus and go to the holy places and be Balaram in the holy places. And that, just like Krishna's being described here in the purport, is entirely consistent, that Godhead isn't appearing in the world to fight in the battlefield, and that's how it's all going to go down. And that's how, the next one, Vinashaya Duskritam, that the Duskrita, the demonic kings and these forces on the earth, that's how they're going to be destroyed, is on the battlefield. No, it's actually just by the sadhunam. It's just by the, hanging out with the sadhus and actually, engaging and inspiring one another in Krishna consciousness. And so just like we do, and just like when we go on pilgrimage, the enlivening aspects of it, going to the holy places and seeing the holy people and associating with the holy people. And it's described that action and those holy people, they're charging that atmosphere with potency. They're taking, our reactions and negative elements and all of the things that we bring they're charging up because they're actually highly satisfied and highly engaged in the devotional practice. Vinashaya Chaduskritam, that Balaram was able to maintain this neutrality. I found it interesting that in the 1,000 Names of Balaram, that he's described in many ways as being the king of the Nagas, and it harkens back to Vasuki and Sheshnag, and that this is also an important element of this program across the world, because this knowledge is, as will be touched on the Dharma in the next aspect of the Lord's appearance, is that he's able to remain neutral, but also he's able to remain neutral even with the opposing parties like Duryodhana. And then we know from the Mahabharata that the Nagas were involved with this, but that as Sheshnag, Balaram is intimately connected with Vishnu. And although Vishnu rides on Garuda, which the Nagas are terrified of, that Sheshnag is able to maintain a neutrality. So there's a channel of mercy that even comes to the Nagas through Balaram. And it's not just the Nagas, it's anyone who comes in contact with Balaram. There's a story, the Pralambasura story, where what happened was that it's a beautiful description. If we have time, we can read a little bit about Vrindavan. But the Pralambasura is a demon that had imitated the cowherd boys, and he carried Balaram away on his back. It was like playing a game, and Balaram got on the back of this fake cowherd boy, and then the fake cowherd boy secretly, Pralambasura, wandered away with Balaram. But he calculated that Krishna was the most powerful of the cowherd boys, but he didn't know that he had Balaram on his back. And so in order to avoid the company of Krishna, Pralambasura carried Balaram far away. The demon was undoubtedly very strong and powerful, but he was carrying Balaram, who was compared to a mountain. Therefore, he began to feel the burden, and thus he assumed his real form. And when he appeared in his real form, he was decorated with a golden helmet and earrings and looked just like a cloud with lightning carrying the moon. Balaram observed the demon's body expanding up into the limits of the clouds, his eyes dazzling like blazing fire and his mouth flashing with sharpened teeth. At first, Balaram was surprised by the demon's appearance and began to wonder, how is this happening? That all of a sudden this carrier has changed in this way. But with a clear mind, he quickly could understand that he was being carried away from his friends. And he immediately struck the demon with his strong fist, just as the king of the heavenly planet strikes a mountain with his thunderbolt. Stricken by the fist of Balaram, the demon fell down dead, just like a snake, with a smashed head and blood poured from his mouth. So there's like, Balaram is not afraid to be strong like that. Not that Balaram's afraid of anything, actually, because Krishna actually explains that Balaram is incredible in the Dhanakasura chapter. Prabhupada, Krishna explains that. And so Balaram, he also establishes Dharma and reestablishes Dharma. And he traveled and he taught. In 1,000 Names of Vishnu, he's described as a pundit, master logician, learned in the Vedas. He's the master of the Vedas. And in this way, he's actually part of this system that is keeping Dharma in place. In another place, Balaram is described like the utility and devotional service as the utility and devotional service that is like the weaving of a cloth. That the warp and the woof and the warp, I think, or the back and the forth within the cloth, that strengthens the entire cloth. that is Balaram in this entire creation. This mood of friendly servitor Godhead, this tinged with this parental affection for Krishna, but also with mercy and compassion. And that's part of keeping Dharma in the world. And just like Krishna explains in the beginning of this chapter, this is a very long story, Dharma in the world. It's a very long story of souls entering this material energy and given a machine to play in. And that machine is this world. And that play has resulted in millennium of stories of human civilizations rising and falling and becoming destroyed, and then rising again and falling, and flooding and fires, and completely overgrown by plants on the earth, you name it. And that these happen throughout time and continuously, time and time again. Yuge, age after age, the Lord appears to reestablish these dharmic principles. And he's described as the different avatars, the Leela avatars with these pastimes, the Shakti Avesha avatars with this knowledge to give you connection and to engage you in Krishna's service, but also in the Manvantara avatars, in this ability to take knowledge and transfer knowledge and carry this knowledge, no matter what society is in this Bhumandala at any time, that knowledge is always there no matter what. And that support and that structure, keeping everything in place, is Balaram. Age after age, establishing Dharma, it's an ongoing affair. It's for the history of this universe, but this history is not actually any history, because there's not actually any real time, in the sense that this is the material energy and that this isn't our home anyways. So it's not enough just to navigate the world. It's not enough just to understand ancient civilizations or understand the history of the Bhagavad Gita or the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but it's to understand and appreciate with love, as a friend, like Krishna is explaining, that he's explaining this today on the battlefield of Kurukshetra to Arjuna, because he's a devotee and he's a friend. It's the love that is the qualification for that devotional service. And so that love and fanning that flame and utilizing that connection, that is actually the history. Devaki, was got association of the Lord. That it's not that the Lord killed Kamsa, it's that Devaki got association of the Lord. And so that aspect throughout history, it's the success stories, it's those who have engaged in devotional service and those who have achieved amazing results. And that engagement, that is Lord Balaram. And so when we understand and we see and we pray to Lord Balaram, we should pray Hari Rama. We should pray that we are engaged in devotional service, but that we can approach it with love. And that's the qualification. And that love is the desire, and that desire can be the thing that we can engage. So it's okay to pray to Krishna. Of course, we want to pray unconditionally. But if we have something that we want to do for Krishna, if we have a way that we want to serve Krishna, then it's okay to understand that we have a strength, and that if we have a strength and a desire, then we do it more naturally. We do it with more love. If something's difficult for us, then we're worried if we're doing it right or we're doing it wrong, and I don't know what it's supposed to do, and I don't know. But if we have something that we can do for Krishna, we know how to do it, and we approach it fearlessly, then we can do it with such heart. And so it's not wrong to look in our heart and understand that we can either engage in Krishna service or not, and we're going to engage in Krishna service. And so that's the only question. And so the question is, not what is what you can do for service, not to misquote a quote. But Krishna is back. Krishna has our back on this because Krishna glorifies Balaram in the Danikasura pastime, which is hanging in the Boston Temple. So if we ever go to the Boston Temple, then look for the picture. Last time I knew, and Panamundit can clear us up on this, it's on the second floor, but it's a picture of Krishna and Balaram killing the Danikasura, the Danikasura, the demon, the donkey demon. And Krishna glorifies Balaram in this way. My dear brother, you are superior to us all. In your lotus feet are worshipped by the demigods. Just see how these trees, full with fruits, have bent down to worship your lotus feet. It appears that they are trying to get out of the darkness of being obliged to accept the form of trees. Actually, these trees, born in the land of Vrindavan, are not ordinary living entities. Having held the impersonal point of view in their past lives, they are now put into the stationary condition of life, and now they have the opportunity of seeing you in Vrindavan. And they're praying for further advancement in spiritual life through your personal association. And generally, these trees are living entities in the mode of darkness. The impersonalist philosophers, they're in the mode of darkness, but they eradicate it by taking full advantage of your presence. I think that the drones that are buzzing all around you must have been your devotees in their past lives, and they can't leave your company because no one can be better, a more affectionate master than you. You are the supreme and the original personality of Godhead, and the drones are just trying to spread your glories by chanting every moment. I think some of them must be great sages, devotees of your lordship, and they're disguising themselves in the form of the drones because they are unable to give up your company even for a moment. My dear brother, you are the supreme worshipable Godhead. Just see how the peacocks in great ecstasy are dancing before you. The deer, whose behavior is just like the gopis, are welcoming you with the same affection. And the cuckoos, who are residing in this forest, are receiving you with great joy because they consider that your appearance is so auspicious in their home. Even though they are trees and animals, these residents of Vrindavan are glorifying you. They are prepared to welcome you to their best capacity, as is the practice of great souls in receiving another great soul at home. As for the land, it is so pious and fortunate that the footsteps of your lotus feet are marking its body. And so, actually, how glorious is Mother Bhumi that in her hour of despair, that not only did Krishna appear, but Krishna appeared with Balaram together to perform these leelas and just spread this love that these demigods infiltrated into these lineages and then engaged in devotional service within these lineages, uplifting these whole lineages and bringing glory to them. And so in this way, Krishna and Balaram spread their love. And in this way, we can maybe have a glimpse of these pastimes by also praying to Balaram, who is so wonderfully friendly, and his mood with Krishna is just so sweet that Krishna is glorifying Balaram. And so if Krishna has such a high esteem for Balaram, then maybe we can hang on to the lotus feet of Sri Balaram today, and we can pray to be engaged in devotional service. Hare Rama. Hare Krishna. I'd like to end here because I think the Artik will start soon. If there are any questions or if there are anything that can go on in the chat, although if this is up on YouTube and there are questions that come out, you can leave them in the comments, or you can contact us directly. But if there are any questions, devotees can unmute themselves, or if they'd like to put them in the chat, or if anyone has a brief glorification of Balaram also. Otherwise, Hare Krishna. And I'll finish reading the verse one last time. Pritranaya sadhanam vinashaya chaduskritam Dharma samstarpanartaya sambhuvami yuge yuge. To annihilate the miscreants. Hold on. I want to get it correctly. To deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium. I also just want to say that seeing them set up for the Julan Yatra, I remember on traveling Sankirtan, how wonderful it was that this festival is so tinged with a summer mood at the temple, and that this festival marks the beginning of a really wonderful festival season that I hope we can all take advantage of. We have Janmashtami coming up soon. We have Radhastami coming up soon, and we have Govardhan Puja, Diwali after that, a number of different activities in between. But what a wonderful season to have such nice Braj Leela from Vrindavan, Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, which are so sweet. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Chaitanya Bhagat Pro. So we will be having Abhishek in a few
Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Bhakti Vedanta Swami Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Jaya Vrindavan Dham. Jaya Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Jaya Vrindavan Dham. Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Radhe. Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Jaya Radha Gopi Vallabha Radha Gopi Vallabha Gopi Vallabha Jaya Radha Gopi Vallabha Radha Gopi Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Radha Gopi Radha Gopi Radha padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Sunyavadi Pasyatya Deshakari Jaya Shri Krishna Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivastava Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Om Ki Bhagavati Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gopiya Ramana, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Balaram, Jaya Vrindavanam. Krishna Govinda Gopinath Madana Govinda Gopinath Madana Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna devotees, thank you for staying with us till the end of the program. So, I have an announcement on the next week, the Janmashtami festival. But before that, I'd like to thank you volunteers who are part of the organizing this festival today. So, from the Pujari team, we had Lakshmanayan Prabhu, Indilekhi Mataji, Premanandi Mataji, Gandhar Prabhu, Vanamali Pandit Prabhu, Hemashwari Prabhu, Antaryami Prabhu, and Lakshmana Mataji. And garland makers, we had our dear Goldie Mataji, Soumya Mataji, Vajeshwari Mataji. And our special cook today was Nitin Puri Prabhu, Premaseki Mataji, and Anu Mataji. And we also had other volunteers, starting from Paramita Mataji from the festival team, Kaushik Prabhu, Chandan Prabhu, Susan Mataji, Sai Pravin Prabhu, Srinivas Prabhu, and Arjuna Prabhu, and various other. So thank you for staying to the end of the program. And the surprise about the next week, the Janmashtami program is we'll have the celebrations on the day of Janmashtami on Monday. Next week, we will not have an in-person Sunday feast program, but we'll have an online Sunday feast program. That is on next Sunday. The next Monday, we'll have an whole day celebrations. We will announce the festival schedule on Janmashtami shortly, which is probably tonight or tomorrow. And please stay tuned. Please visit our ISKCON Boston website. And if you are in any of our WhatsApp groups, please stay tuned there. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.